If you read lots of game magazines and websites, from time to time you'll catch them talking about cult classics. These are games for the true game connoisseur, and quite often they just don't do so well commercially. Here are 10 cult games that hardly anyone bothered to buy. In Tokyo Jungle, you play an animal trying to survive in a deserted city. You can be a Pomeranian forced to give up his domestic life, or a lion seeking a home. This rough gem only sold a little over 250,000 copies, but it's one of the most special games available for the PlayStation 3.
You're late, soldier! Now get in here and give me 20!
Tim Schafer is one of the greatest game developers out there, but that doesn't mean his games always sell. Psychonauts is one of the most interesting and deep adventure games out there, but basically everything that could go wrong went wrong while publishing this game. In the end, only 1.5 million gamers bought the game.
Oh my god! Let's make out!
Everybody here is just as dead as you. That's why we call it the land of the dead.
An even more acclaimed title is Grim Fandango. This adventure game was also made by Tim Schafer. It won many awards and is considered one of the best adventure games of all time. But it sold only a couple of 100,000 copies. In the end, LucasArts decided to close its adventure game division because of this commercial failure. People have been talking about Spec Ops: The Line ever since it was released 4 years ago. Its story is one of the best ever written for a shooter. However, not many people actually played the game. Estimates indicate it sold around 800,000 copies in its first year, and thanks to bundles and Steam sales, it's now just over 1.1 million copies.
Don't mind if I do.
The Nintendo 64 has enough amazing kid-friendly platform games, but Conker's Bad Fur Day was aimed at an adult audience. This meant Nintendo did not help out promoting the game, resulting in hardly any media exposure. Suffice to say, with only 770,000 copies sold, Conker's Bad Fur Day fell victim to its own foul mouth and the Nintendo ad blocker.
Stupid logo.
And I thought I might have to work harder.
Outback is smuggling weapons.
An action role-playing game about a secret agent sounds like a dream come true. Unfortunately, Alpha Protocol was flawed and buggy. Once again, it was the story that really stood out thanks to its Mass Effect-style dialogue choices. With only 1.2 million copies sold, publisher Sega didn't want a sequel. However, developer Obsidian expressed their wishes for a follow-up a few years ago. So who knows?
Well, that didn't turn out like you thought.
For years, we've been waiting for Beyond Good and Evil 2. This would be a sequel to a game that was a big commercial flop. With just 500,000 copies sold, the first game was a big disappointment, even though it was praised by critics. Beyond Good and Evil is now one of the biggest cult classics out there, and we're still hoping for that sequel.
I'm gonna go make sure everything's working. Come down here as soon as you can.
It's like this when the law said let it be like. He also designated poetical brothers.
Jet Set Radio is perhaps one of the best skating games ever made, and its soundtrack was amazing. It was a good reason to get a Dreamcast, but in the end, that also was a problem. You needed a Dreamcast for this game, and not many people had those. Official numbers are lacking, but Sega has stated that the sales numbers of Jet Set Radio were relatively low. And yet, critics still praise this game up until this day.
Top of the morning, ladies.
Did you doing too much again?
With just over 1 million sold, the Saboteur was a commercial failure. It even resulted in the closure of the once so beloved game studio Pandemic. In the Saboteur, you had to liberate areas of Paris from German occupation and bring color and hope back into the life of the citizens, all in order to avenge your friend's death. It's a shame not more people played this hidden gem.
Compliance will be rewarded.
Enslaved, Odyssey to the West is based on a classic piece of literature and features the acting of Andy Serkis. What you get is a fascinating story about a group of friends saving the world from evil, but not knowing whether they really did the right thing. This was a really great third-person action game. After a year, it had only sold 730,000 copies, putting a planned sequel back in the freezer.
What will you do when we get there?
Did you buy any of these games? Or are you planning to look them up on eBay and Steam and try them out for yourself? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like this video and follow us on social media.
I'm getting out of here. This world's for suckers.